Hello there!
You stay classy, San Diego.
How, in the name of Zeus's butthole, did you get out of your cell?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Moon River.
Just the facts, ma'am.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular. When they gaze upon Yosemites, our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. Action replays in magnified fortune.
All right, we got to get started. Okay. Lights are ridiculous. Okay, I made it. What a drive. Why is my ring light not on? I don't know. I look fine, so I guess that's okay. What? Chip. Is it where? All right, maybe if I hit the light again. Nope. Try it again. Nope. You're just out. You just you leave me a ring light. You just leave me hang. I got two lights. I'm fine. It's nighttime. Who cares? It's very late. What am I gonna do? Not do a show for you guys? Hi, welcome. Hello, chat room. Those of you that are here, welcome to Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Super chats always welcome and desperately needed to keep the show on its feet and going. And of course, our thank you to our long-running Patreon folks for making the show a reality and not and helping me rely on the kindness of strangers every show. We do need an after dark theme. This is true. Like a different set, you mean? Something that looks like a boudoir. All right. Let me jump in because I've got a few clips to show you. One ridiculous, one proves a point I've been making all along, and then another one is just exemplary of the turd polishing that is going on in Trump Town right now. But first, I want to bring attention to a news story. Let's see if I should find something like this. This is my favorite story in quite a bit. This is, and I've seen a ton of, let's see if I can put this in a reader format so I can show it to you that way. Yeah, here we go. It's some good stuff. This, I gotta say, this business right here. Pentagon senior advisor Dan Caldwell ousted during investigation into leaks. Now, I have seen today while I was driving, I was listening to, basically podcasts with like clips of shows talking about this particular issue. and the amount of them trying to go, it's either the signal thing that, it wasn't his fault, some asshole Obama guy or some secret Dem in the Pentagon is trying to throw poor Pete Hegseth under the bus or destroy his career or stop the agenda of MAGA or whatever. When this guy was picked by Hegseth, they've been bros for a long time. He was on Fox News all the time. They were part of the same vet organization that was more than likely an NGO boondoggle to get the kind of funding and money that Trump skims off of his own followers. But and Caldwell's not the only guy going down. And there's like 3 people. These are in Hegseth's domain, not under the National Security Agency. This isn't like the people. Waltz is the guy who put together the signal chat. So none of these guys are to blame if Waltz fucks up and adds somebody to the thing. So you'll see a ton of people tap dancing around this shit going, these are the guys that actually created the whole fucking Hegseth monstrosity, and it wasn't. This is about something else entirely. The other story that I keep hearing from these dickheads is that this is about media leaks, that they're leaking things to the media, and that we've got to, this is last time Trump had a problem with this, and we've got to plug these leaks at, okay, first of all, number one, as we say here all the time, chat room, say it with me, you can't leak a lie. If somebody leaks a piece of information, it is inherently true. Otherwise, you're just lying. Does that make sense? You can either lie or you can leak. You can't do both because you can't give people a piece of information under the table that's not true. If it's true, then it's a leak. If it's a lie, who gives a shit? Like, again, do you think these guys have a problem lying to the media? So let's just be straight out there that anything you hear them going, somebody leaked this, somebody leaked this, somebody leaked this. Anything comes out of the Trump administration where somebody leaked it, it's automatically true. You know this. Or they would be the first people to say it's a lie. That never happened. They're saying something that they're talking out of school, never occurred. Okay. Secondly, or thirdly, fourthly, I've lost count. The turd polishers around this are trying to do anything they can to pooper scooper what's behind this dickhead. These are the people that are being punted. Caldwell, and what was the other guy's name? It was head of concerns. Yeah, he was part of Concerned Veterans for America. Yeah, Joe Casper started this or said in a memo that this was going to happen. This investigation was going to happen directly. And then his other guy was kicked out. There's been 2 other people besides Caldwell, but Caldwell's the one that's closest to him. And the reason it's a big story is, and I'm sure chat room, some of you saw this, is Dan Caldwell the new Peter Navarro? No, he's more the new Mike Flynn. Although I would say he's largely a scapegoat in this particular instance. But let me show you, see if I can find it real quick. I'll show you the kind of generalized McGurr coming from the right-wingers trying to run interference for him, because there's been a couple of funny ones. Let's see if that lady. Oh yeah, here you go. Is this business? Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let's go scoop this. Trish Regan has this show. She's one of these right-wing ladies. And she has bombshell, alleged spy booted from Trump's DOD for reportedly leaking secret information. Now, in all honesty, leaking information versus mishandling classified information versus intentionally disseminating stuff, leaking to the media versus selling it, right? These are very distinct things. Insofar as we know, there has been no distinction. They just told this dude, don't go near your desk, we're going to walk you to the front door. Caldwell was walked out of the front door of the Pentagon today or late yesterday or whenever it was. And they don't let you go look at your shit. That's part of an investigation. They're going through his desk and the like. I don't know if there's a warrant for his home or any of that stuff, but he was walked out of the Pentagon. He does not get to go back and get his shit. And that's all we know about it. With like, they have not, nobody's directly said this is because of media leaks or because he's selling information or because he accidentally on purpose leaked something. But watch how fast these assholes go to, he's leaking to the media to make Trump look bad or whatever, which again, if it's a leak, it's true. Why would he lie to the media to make Trump look bad? If he's leaking to the media, then Trump is bad. Therefore, the evidence doesn't make you look like a murderer. You're a fucking murderer, and then the evidence lets everybody know officially that you're a murderer. Get it? So the fucking turd polishing is extraordinary right now. Okay, so check this out. This is very much, I think, part and parcel.
An advisor to Pete Hegseth is being pushed out at the Pentagon. Pete Hegseth, head of the Department of Defense, one of his advisors is...
He's SecDef. Simmer down.
Believed to have been leaking, possibly to the press.
Yep. No. You actually... He could have been stealing fucking pens and selling them black market Pentagon pens. You don't fucking know. They have not... There was an investigation by Casper that was put out into the Signal thing. This may be related or it might not. But what we do know is that they were like, get the fuck out. We will see you to the door. Notice, though, she puts on this little addendum. She hangs that little rapier work attachment that has sort of a handle that their father left there only just the night before, around 8 o'clock. She doesn't know any of those details, and she's reading this, I think, for the first time.
And he was just escorted out of the Department of Defense. The story is being reported by Reuters. Reuters first to the story, the gentleman's name that was
Hi, real quick, Trish. Fuck you for using Reuters as a source when you guys shit on it all the time. How do we even know he was walked out today? He's probably still working there. It's Reuters, for God's sake. All they do is lie and try to destroy the country.
Or is being escorted out there at Department of Defense, worked for Hegseth, and his name is Dan Caldwell. He, we don't know too much about him other than, let me just show you this.
Top Hegseth advisor Dan Caldwell put on leave in Pentagon leak probe. Okay, as a direct result of, connected, maybe not. We don't know. We don't know. Well, let's see what Reuters actually fucking says. And by the way, hi Substack people. Are we on Substack? Is it up? There we go. And then Instagram. Hello. It's nice to be vertical with you. Pardon me for pointing this way when I mean to point that way when you're watching on there. Shit happens. Okay, so the title, exclusive. Hegseth, whatever. Advisor, top, Dan Caldwell, Reuters. Okay, there we go. This is the actual article. There we go. Come on now. And I'm going to pull it out over here. Sorry. There's the actual article, not just the little picture piece that they're going to put up on there. This is what it actually says by Phil Stewart. Good work, Phil. Here, Pete Hegseth, here yammering to someone across the table while in his own head, he's trying to figure out how to fire that fucker. That's Caldwell, by the way. That's him. Okay. One of U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's leading advisors, obviously an Obama plant, clearly put there by Biden's criminal mind, Dan Caldwell, was escorted from the Pentagon on Tuesday after being identified during an investigation into leaks at the Department of Defense, a U.S. official told Reuters. Caldwell was placed on administrative leave for an unauthorized disclosure. The official said, speaking on condition of anonymity, the decision has not been previously reported. Now, unauthorized disclosure. Could that be the media? Sure. Could it be one of his fucking buddies at a sports bar? Yeah. Could it be to Elon Musk when Elon came by the fucking Pentagon and hung out there and they went over into a little fucking corner and yapped for a little bit and he got and they both didn't realize just how many fucking cameras are in that fucking place? Okay. The investigation remains ongoing. There will be more. The official said without providing details about the nature of the alleged disclosure. Right. So when she says probably the media, that's her way of just trying to run interference for Trump, including whether it was made to a journalist or someone else. President Donald Trump's administration has moved to aggressively pursue leaks, an effort that has been enthusiastically embraced by Hegseth at the Pentagon. By the way, no, they put their own leaks out. They just want to control which leaks happen. Sorry, you want me to take what they say at face value? How fucking stupid do they expect us to be? Like, how naive are we expected to be to think that Trump gives a shit until it's too late? He only got mad about the Elon Musk China thing when the press got wind of it. He wouldn't have known otherwise. Okay. Excuse me. March 21st memo signed by Hegseth Chief of Staff John Casper. That was when they began the signal thing. Casper's memo left open the possibility of a polygraph, although it was unclear if Caldwell was subjected to one. It sounds like he fucking failed, and they were like, yeah, that's 3 spikes in a row. Get the fuck up. Yeah, no, just leave the electrodes in. We're going to get the fuck. Don't let the door hit you. So, his importance was underscored in a leaked text chain on Signal, of course, because he's in there. In it, Hegseth named Caldwell as the best staff point of contact for the National Security Council as it prepared for the launch of the strikes against the Houthis in Yemen. Again, that best part didn't actually turn out that he was the best guy to be giving this shit to. By the way, share the show out, guys, because I'm at a different time, so people probably won't know the show is on. So if you could do that for me, that would be lovely. Caldwell has drawn attention in Washington for past views that critics have called isolationist, which advocates said sought to right-size America's defense priorities. Now, let me tell you something about the isolationists. This goes to with some of our alleged anti-war left that originally you had organizations like Code Pink and others that were staffed entirely by people who simply wanted to end war, which is a good thing. And then once that was the prevailing methodology and the sort of tip of the spear. Sorry, I should probably use military. The blunt of the dildo, whatever, that they were using, that it was going to be a primary organization. That's like ringing the dinner bell for fraudsters and fakes and foreign agents and all that kind of shit. And a lot of these organizations get taken over by people who don't want to end war. They just want America to be slow on the response to Russia, for example, or to the rapid defense forces, rapid strike forces in Sudan, so that the Wagner group can keep like pulling gold out of Darfur, because if the Americans and the UN are around, they'll see them do it. So they want America on its, like, we don't have to deal with that shit. So they weaponize the true empathy of anti-war activists, and they take over these organizations, and then they push back on any intervention with this, using the veneer of peace, when in reality what they're trying to do is just give Russia and China leverage in these situations. They don't give a rat fuck who dies. They certainly don't care about, right versus wrong in any of these situations. They have a directive and leverage. Just saying. Okay. A Marine Corps veteran who was deployed to Iraq, Caldwell was quoted saying before going to the Pentagon that America would have been better off if U.S. troops had just stayed home. Again, a reasonable statement. But we are all familiar with the wolf in sheep's clothing. Yes? We're familiar with that? Okay. People need to be, reminded, the sweetest way I can say it. They need to be reminded that that's a thing. trust in God and tie up your camel or tie up your horse, depending on what part of the world you're from. And the concept of a wolf in sheep's clothing. Folks, just because somebody uses the right jargon doesn't mean they're on your team. And as a matter of fact, the more unified and specific your jargon becomes, the less people have to defend their actual beliefs within the context of it. If they don't need a depth of conversation to make you think they're on your side, they can just fucking, I got the 3 bumper stickers, and they can just barge right the fuck in. That's how you end up with isolationists and pro-Putin operatives working in peace organizations. And there's a version of this. There's a version of this on the right, which would be Russian operatives sending people like Maria Butina over via the NRA, when Russia has some of the most anti-gun laws in all of the European continent. You don't have any of the rights. There's no Second Amendment in fucking Russia. And if you buy 10 bullets and you go out hunting and you go, I fired 8, you better come back with 8 casings and 2 bullets, or you're in deep shit. You can't buy a handgun unless you've had a rifle license for 5 fucking years. They can take it away any way they want. And yet somehow the NRA was like, we got to fight for the rights of guns in America. And they were like, absolutely, man. Well, come on, man. Let's do this. Bam. So, I think the Iraq War was a monstrous crime, he told the Financial Times in December of 2024. Again, wolf in sheep's clothing. He was also a skeptic of U.S. military assistance to Ukraine and advocated for U.S. retrenchment from Europe. See what I'm saying here? If you have the ability to intervene when someone is facing an aggressor, and you don't, whether you participate or not, you are on the side of the aggressor. In the case of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, whether we're involved or not, materially, financially, support, ultimately troops on the ground, any of that shit, if we have the ability to do it and we don't, and we know it's wrong, that is morally, that puts you on the side of the aggressor. Period. And you can either cop to that or go, I'm a pacifist. I believe all war is wrong, so I believe that a shot fired in anger answered by a shot fired out of self-defense is equal, and that why somebody dies doesn't really matter. It's just about death, and so if you flip-flop that ideology, everybody who has a DUI should get capital punishment. It's easy to see the slippery slope from there. He's a bullshitter. He's a liar. And there's plenty of them around. Rand Paul is as well. And Trump's whole thing about, I'm just tired of all the death and the dying and the death and the dying and the dead and dead dying. He doesn't give a fuck. If we don't stop helping Ukraine through any means, and if Europe doesn't stop helping them, and everybody feels nervous about helping them, Russia's going to get its ass kicked. They already are. And if they had the full support of Europe and America from the very beginning, and everybody wasn't worried about this spilling over into nuclear war, which I think is bullshit. Again, I've said this. I think Russia uses mutual assured destruction as a cloche that they can operate under. Like, better let me kill these people, or I'm going to blow everybody up. It's like a home invader who assaults the family and goes, if you get up out of that chair, I'm going to kill everybody. And so you got to let me attack the other members of your family until it's your turn. That's Russia. And there is no moral way to answer what they're doing by simply standing back and letting it happen. Yes, I use the word cloche, which is the cake cover. It's also what like the neo-evangelical Christians believe we have instead of a sky. Okay. Side note really quick for, the Hegseth, Christian titty tattoo bullshit. Can I just say to all the people who are like, I believe I read the Bible, and I truly believe God created the earth in 7 days. Okay, first of all, in the original way it was written, it was yom, which is a period of time, which can be a day and is colloquially a day, but could be a billion fucking years. Secondly, what's a day to God? It obviously isn't our regular solar day, because he doesn't time himself or itself or herself by the rotations of the earth. Why would it? And therefore, 7 cycles of infinity. Who cares? Why would you, asshole? Do you think that's really like, man, I think it was like May 8th of the 2 years before Jesus was born. You know what I mean? Anyways, I know I digress. All right. So, this asshole got escorted out of the Pentagon today. This asshole is really good friends with this asshole. And this is not a situation where they're like, this guy was, subverting him at all. As a matter of fact, more than likely, this asshole is taking flack for this dickhead. Telling you. All right. So that said, let's see what Trish Raygun says, because we now know what this article's about.
Breaking right now, this headline exclusive: top Hegseth advisor Dan Caldwell put on leave in Pentagon leak probe. So that's,
by the way, the leak probe is how they found him, and they found that he was unlawfully disseminating classified information. That does not mean that they found him because he leaked from the Signal thing. They may have opened up a can of worms and went, holy fucking shit, everybody's on Signal. What the fuck have you guys been doing? And they're going to find a bunch of people unrelated. Okay, real quick, and that's something that these guys are going to gloss over.
here's his
Derp. That's a great headshot, man. Now I'm jealous.
Oh, hello there.
All right.
right now that you can see. This is the gentleman. He is allegedly somehow tied up in this leaking issue that they had going on. Don't forget.
Allegedly, he is tied up in it. Whether he's guilty or not, or what he did is alleged, but they walked him out of the fucking building today. Like, dudes with guns. Let me be clear. When they walk you out of the fucking Pentagon, and whether you're cuffed or not, the dudes doing it are armed. No fucking question. Like, it wasn't just like, Mary, can you help him find his way to the fucking parking lot? No, these are dudes with guns in stool positions, or like hand on the hip, like fucking Wyatt Earp.
They began an investigation into the Pentagon and into potential leaks. Why? Because of that Signalgate issue. Mm-hmm. And according to USA Today, this is just...
Oh, I'm sorry. You're quoting another mainstream media source. These motherfuckers, like, chat room. Am I the only person that gets gacked up about this? Oh my God, yeah, leaked to who? Well, that's exactly it, Jen. Thank you for the super chat. Exactly, leaked to who? She doesn't know, but she's going to assume it's the press while reading the mainstream press. Do you? I feel like, am I the only person who gives a shit about this? All they do is shit on the mainstream media all day. And then her 2 fucking sources so far in like the first minute of her goddamn show is Reuters and USA Today. Right? You can't, you're not allowed. You're not right-wingers. I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want Joe Rogan or any of these dipshits to go, put up that New York Times article. No, you're not allowed, fuckhead. You're not allowed. You can't shit on it and then go to it for content. It's fucking aggravating. I know it's like a nitpicky thing, but like, you can't source something and then tell me the rest of the fucking time it's fake news. God damn. Like, it, and they all do it. They all do it. Jimmy Dore does it. Fucking Rusty Trombone does it. Peanut Butter Dickhead, her. Like, what the shit? It's so aggravating. USA Today. Okay, what is this? What officials were a part of the confidential chat? Okay, I've already seen that. That's an old list. She has that in the graph.
Coming out now, this particular gentleman, if you look down this list,
This gentleman, Dan Caldwell, he ran Concerned Veterans for America with Pete Hegseth. With him. They were friends back at fucking Fox News. They were in that organization together. This gentleman, she says. Fuck off.
list of all the people that were on the Signal Gate chat, and we just found this for you, and you can.
Oh, that was very sweet of you. Just in case we have, like most of your audience, have been intentionally avoiding any of the details so that when we bullshit our family and friends, we can play fast and loose with it. Go, I didn't know about that. That's a bunch of bullshit anyways. Do you really trust anything? You know? And but like your guy's perfect. Yeah.
That Dan Caldwell was on that list. So naturally, they were going back and they were investigating who might have leaked something to the press. We don't know. Or who might.
Hey, whoa, stupid. We saw the part that leaked. It came from Hegseth. The details he put in, it was him bragging about the strike before it happened. That's the classified information. Anybody who says that's not classified or that's not top secret is a fucking liar. You're a fucking liar. Stop it. Stop fucking lying. Attack plans, whether you call them battle plans or war plans or strike plans, it doesn't fucking matter. If that information gets out before the strike and it's actually happening, and it actually happens, and our guys in the air and our troops on the ground or whoever's going in this attack are in danger because the bad guys could find out where they are and when they're coming and kill them. So, of course, it's top secret. It will always be top secret. It has never not been top secret. Fuck you. Fuck off. Stop it. End of story. I'm so, it is so lazy and so stupid. And anybody that brings this shit up to me or even starts this conversation is getting shut down. I'm not going to stop talking until you admit, of course that's classified. Of course that's top secret. You fucking moron. If the Houthis, who have anti-aircraft batteries, knew that the planes were going to come overhead and they could do fucking math, which they can, or shit, maybe they have just the Saudi version of ChatGPT and they're able to pinpoint in the general, oh yeah, there they come. It's fucking 8 o'clock. Boom. They could kill our soldiers. So fuck off. But what we do know is that is the part, insofar as we haven't seen any other stuff from Jeffrey Goldberg. It didn't come from Dan Caldwell. It came from Hegseth. And if Hegseth told him to put that in there, then he's in deep shit. If Hegseth didn't tell him to put it in there, why the fuck would he in the first place? And also, why didn't everybody, and he, by the way, he has an account and Hegseth has an account. So why didn't he put it in his own shit? Like, hey, Dan, tell him what's what. Or, hey, Dan, stop telling him what's what, right? They're both in the fucking chat. Just the way they, the turd polishing.
Who might have had a hand getting some of that information in there? We don't really know. I think that's still up for grabs. Remember Mike Waltz saying that he and his team had created that list of people that were on there. Again,
right. That has nothing to do, by the way, the addition of Goldberg to the whole thing can be an accident. But Hegseth fucked it up for everybody, because Hegseth is the one who put classified information in an unsecured chat. And then from that point on, everybody who stayed in the chat is a criminal, because Pete Hegseth is a fuck up. And if he's going to lay it off on Dan Caldwell, then people need to ask, why was Dan Caldwell posting in that chat group under Pete Hegseth's name instead of his own? And if it was because Pete Hegseth was fucking drunk, I look forward to that committee hearing.
Back to this list. And so I think they were reviewing everybody that was on that list, and they were trying to make sure things were airtight.
Hey, stupid. Things weren't airtight or there wouldn't even be a list or an article. Do you understand? Of course they're not airtight. And if they want to make it airtight, they would fire Waltz and his second, and Hegseth and his second, and anybody in the team that thought, yeah, go for it, boss. Put the plan in there. And Tulsi Gabbard and everything. That would go a long way towards people trusting that this shit won't happen or isn't happening on the regular in multiple signal chats. Stupid.
Somehow this guy is caught up in something. We're not entirely sure at this point.
We're not entirely sure, but we're somewhat sure. You don't get walked out of the building by security at the fucking Pentagon if it's a brief misunderstanding. He took it and took my stapler, and I don't want to be moved downstairs again. Yeah, I'm gonna have to walk you out of the building.
Yet what, but he is being escorted out of the building. Now, before everybody goes bonkers and says, oh,
yeah,
it's not fair, why are you getting rid of the alleged spy? He doesn't deserve that, etc. I'm going to...
Sorry. Who the fuck watches your show and goes, that's not fair, getting rid of the alleged spy? Would that sentence leave anybody's fucking face? Without them, I guess, slamming their head against their desk? Well, before everybody goes bonkers and says, that's not fair to the alleged spy, said no one ever, you dizzy fuck.
Mind you that this White House needs to batten down the hatches, okay? Because we can't have a repeat of what went on for 4 years. And so they've got to find the leakers. They've got to find the people that are...
Yeah, they're only doing this because the newspapers are finding, so, hey, stupid. Nobody did this to them. Jeffrey Goldberg didn't sneak into the fucking chat. Nobody fucking twisted Hegseth's arm to put classified information. This is all on them. It's all on them. No one else is to fucking blame. If he hadn't done that, there'd be nothing to leak. The whole story from Goldberg would have been, I got accidentally added to this chat. I talked to the lawyers at the paper, and they said you can't stay in there. If they're talking about classified stuff, you can write an article about how they seem to be having, determinative conversations in a relatively unsecure thing. The conversation with JD Vance and all that kind of stuff. You could write about that, but you got to get the fuck out. And it never would have been to the criminal level. It would have just been kind of a noisy, embarrassing story about somebody accidentally adding someone. But the minute Hegseth added those details and endangered the lives of our soldiers because he's a fuck up, then everybody else got in trouble. And it had nothing to do with fucking Dem operatives or the deep state or some bullshit.
Problems, so to speak. They've got to find the people that are not on board. It's one...
This motherfucker's on board, dummy. He's on board. He's Pete Hegseth's second in charge. He's not subverting the fucking administration. His talking points are exactly Trump's talking points, you dumbass.
Have an internal dispute. Like if I were working at Treasury, I would have said, let's put Peter Navarro aside. Let's put Scott Bessent center stage. Let's make sure that we do this in a way that doesn't cause total chaos in the markets and cause the 10-year yield to go through the roof. Okay. So that's an internal policy debate. It's something.
Yeah, that isn't happening, first of all. So that good idea you think you're having and that you have a difference of opinion with the White House about, I got news for you, dummy. They don't give a shit what you think, and they're comfortable making the same shit mistake over and over and over and over and over again. But what I will say is that to make this analogy that she brings up of, that these conversations, you wouldn't want them to leak out, that she was having this thing about Navarro being pushed aside and Bessent out front. You have to include in that while that conversation was happening, Trump's Treasury Secretary, it'd probably be Commerce. It'd probably be Nutlick that did this. Also posted the Social Security numbers of, hundreds of Americans. That's the equivalent in a civilian situation.
if you're out there calling the press and then saying, oh, you know, I don't like this one, that one, and the other, that's a whole other.
Hey, stupid, that's not classified. That's your own opinion. That's just nuisance bullshit. He was removed for leaking classified shit, meaning he's sharing stuff that is, you know, more borderline top secret. They walked him the fuck out of there, essentially at gunpoint.
Thing. And I think that's what is feared right now, because they went through tons of that. They had all the Obama loyalists, right, that they got hit with.
Yeah, and nothing like this happened. They had little nuisance stories, but no classified information was leaked by those people. And now they've got all the fucking loyalists in there, and these assholes are dumping battle plans on the fucking internet. Like it's almost like they're the perfect, I don't know, cell. Maybe they're, you know, like maybe they're really part of the resistance. They're just wearing a really convincing disguise because they couldn't suck up to Trump more. They're just terrible.
2016, so they need to make sure that they don't have that all over again. It's why, if you think about it, why they got rid of that Susan Myers up in Greenland. Remember the Space Force commander? That was just last week, who said right out there in an email that she did not agree at all with the policy that the administration was putting forward. Well, if you don't agree with the policy, then guess what? You probably shouldn't have the job.
Yeah, that's not like this at all. Yeah, if look, I understand Trump is a delicate flower. He's got no dick and he's totally emasculated all the time. He can't stand his own reflection, and therefore he cannot take a joke at all because he's a giant raving nut. I get it. But there's a huge difference between him being a whingy little bitch who can't take criticism from a woman who's actually earned her place in this world, and somebody that his dude brought into the fucking Pentagon who had to be escorted out the front door at gunpoint. She didn't, by the way, she didn't have to be shown the door. She was relieved of her command, but they didn't have to, like, okay, don't touch your desk, we're still investigating. She just left. You know why? Because she's not a danger to national security. That's why. It's just Trump is a bitch. He's weaselly and whiny and pathetic, and again, he hates the sight of his own goddamn face, and any woman who points out how absolutely ridiculous he is cuts him to the core, and he's got to get rid of him as fast as possible.
They relieved her of her duties. It comes as we learn that the head of the NSA got kicked out. He was also the guy in charge of Cyber Command. So it's all a result of the Signalgate thing.
No, it's not.
They're very worried. There's a certain level of, I'm just going to call it healthy paranoia there, because given what this team went through.
Yeah, you should have a sense of healthy paranoia because you hired a bunch of fucking drunks and lunatics. Your DNI is in an anti-gay Hawaiian death cult. You goon. I would be paranoid too. Can you imagine the people that he has hired? Duffy and fucking Nutlick and all these people. Can you imagine them walking around your office where you worked? You'd be like, these motherfuckers. Like everywhere you went. You should be paranoid. They're nuts. Now, speaking of nuts, I'm going to jump around a little bit tonight because I'm going to do, I'll do an hour if that's okay with you guys, but I'm going to try and bum rush some of this stuff. I talked about this earlier today on the morning show when we were talking to Phil and the Major about this Real ID thing on the right. One of the things that excuse me, that Republicans have not really grasped is that Democrats are, after a while of trying to fight voter ID because people could be disenfranchised and have their ID removed, And it's a poll tax. This is the issue. This is always the issue I will have. If you're going to make IDs necessary to vote, you got to give it to me for free because you can't charge me for it at all. Not postage, not anything. Like I can stand there as part of it, but I'll stand in line and hand in my forms, but you cannot charge me a fee to get an ID that I need for my rights. You understand? It's kind of like they can't charge you for your social security card, right? Okay. So that's the only issue I have. And for the longest time, the reason they did that was because they could disenfranchise a certain number of people. And then in the South, a lot, it used to be that they could, if you're going to court, if they pulled you over and they used it like as a traffic bond, they would take your ID and you'll get it back when you have court. And magically in the South, they would start pulling over black people in late October. And court wouldn't be till the first week of December. Yeah. So that's a huge issue. Okay. Now, the rules have changed largely. You can now get a state ID and a driver's license and have both, and they both work. Wisconsin's law, which the right was touting, allows student IDs, which is what the hang up was. Like before, you could use a fucking gun club ID, but if you went to University of Madison in Wisconsin, you couldn't use your ID from there, which shows where you live, the fact that you're a real student, all the information that school has that proves you're a student. It's official because they don't want people posing as students on campus. So it has actual security built into the ID. They wouldn't allow you to use that. You could use some fucking gun club, right? But you couldn't use that one. The Wisconsin law allowed for that, and it passed. Okay, so Real ID. First of all, let me say I'm for it. Real ID just has more countermeasures, so it's harder to fake, and it works with your picture is also a LiDAR scan of your face, and so it can tell who you are. It's fine. Okay. So let me show you what these guys are doing. Now, can I just say I had a weird moment. Eric Bolling was on Peanut Butter Dickhead, and I don't know if he's just had this wake up call because he used to work in the oil markets. He was on Wall Street for 15 years. And before he went to work for Newsmax or whatever and became, started injecting marzipan into his face. I will also say he seems to have backed off that a little. There were a few times when he was looking rather puffy in very specific areas, very like he went to her esthetician, right? And he's seemingly dialed that back. Maybe it was the first round and then it's had a chance to soften. Not quite sure how it works, but maybe that's what happens. Your face settles after you've had a big of marzipan and then it whatever. Anyways, doesn't quite look as weirdly bloated. Maybe he's just stopped drinking. Anyways, he's on this show and they start talking about he's against the tariff stuff. He's a free market guy. So he just hates the idea. So there's a back and forth between them on this. But this is about federal tracking system. Kristi Noem Real ID plan sparks. See how this is, wonder how that showed up in my feed. Sparks debate over government control. No, it doesn't. It triggers two of his co-hosts who are paranoid assholes.
This one's kind of interesting, and I wonder what you guys will say about this, both of you.
Great. I love a clip that's kind of interesting, Peanut Butter Dickhead.
Urges people to get real IDs to keep our country safe. This is a Breitbart story. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Kristi Noem encouraged Americans to get real IDs, stating in a video on X, which here's the clip. Rob, if you want to play the clip first and then
play that clip there, Rob. By the way, I would like to remind everybody, this clip is not for you and me. I don't need Kristi Noem to tell me to get an updated ID. It's 2025. Of course, our IDs will have to be more resilient and checkable by myriad of different ways to protect both you and where you're going to, so that it's really you. And just go back and watch the Ted Bundy story about how he fled to Florida before your picture was on your driver's license. And you can understand how we have to update these fucking things because the worst among us will find ways to take advantage. Here we go.
Get into the rest of it.
Hi, I'm Christine Ulm, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security.
God help us.
If you plan on traveling, we need your help to prevent delays and to prove your identity. Get a real ID.
I got to tell you. So, Dems don't have a problem getting a real ID. We're fine. The government's not going to track it. It's just bullshit. And if anything, it's like, I'm a citizen. Leave me the fuck alone. Right? That's what Trump's camp is worried about. But their biggest concern, quite frankly, is the fact that maggots specifically are paranoid as fuck and think the government has chips in everything. And so they're not getting the real ID. Well, if you need that to vote at some point and you just won't get one, what happens? What happens? That's right. You don't get to vote. That's why she's doing this video.
Starting May 7th, you will need a real ID to travel by air or to visit federal buildings in the United States.
But it's the people's house. Of course, I guess you can always go if you're just a maggot waving the Confederate flag and you're fine curb stomping a police officer, right, Christy?
These IDs keep our country safe because they help prevent fraud and they enhance security. Please do your part to protect our country. Go today and don't delay.
Yeah, I love that. And also, this piece of music we're playing behind us is God Bless a Good Portion of America. It was written by Lee Greenwood in a dream, I believe.
Learn more, go to dhs.gov/real-id. Thank you.
Chris, what do we
And also, I love this little flying bird graphic that they threw in there. The more you know.
know about these real IDs so far?
I don't know what there is to know that makes them suspicious. I have one.
Eric.
Same. It's a great idea. This is obviously the precursor to requiring an ID to vote, which is great.
Tom.
I agree. We've had real ID standards since Texas.
Standards. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You've had the same kind of thing California has, which is like the fucking like glimmery, shimmery decal over the whole thing, which has the state's emblem in it so that they can check to see if it's real. But you have not had real ID stuff that's in the actual card itself and in the tag. There's details in it, but this is another step forward. It has been shy of that, or you wouldn't need to update it in Texas.
I have one with the star in Texas, and when I came down here, I noticed my new driver's license here had the star, and I think it's a good thing. And by the way, I'll add something. When I went from California to Texas, I surrendered my California driver's license. They say, I'm sorry, that's not an acceptable form of ID. Why? Because it's been compromised because you can get it as a general ID, and so we need a birth certificate or something. So I actually went and got my Social Security card, tattered it was, in this plastic envelope. I came back, is this good enough?
Yeah.
And this is my passport? Yes. But it was so funny that you couldn't get a driver's license in
Well, you need two forms of ID. So he had a passport and his old driver's license. And Texas didn't accept it because they were being assholes. That's just ridiculous. It's just stupid. I call bullshit.
Texas in 2015.
2015. Okay. Yeah.
Trading in a California license because they said that's not good.
So it's funny. Yesterday we're in a meeting and one of our guys like, man, let me tell you, this real ID stuff's a big concern. You got to be careful.
One of our guys. What do you mean, most of your guys?
That they're doing this. He's kind of giving his own feel. And then Danny's like, do you have a Florida ID? Yeah. He says, you know, if you have a Florida ID, it's a real ID. He says, really? Yeah, take out your ID. He says, yeah, that star is real ID. Oh, cool, I got a real ID. It was the funniest moment for
It's so funny. The guy's like so full of shit.
him because at first it was like,
Big
hey,
brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Skepticism is
Where
the
are you
lowest
at with
form of
this?
intelligence.
And that's because
Okay, so he's like, where are you at with this? Because he knows this is him programming his dudes. This guy is I don't know his name, and I don't care, but he's the one who kind of is like, why won't they release the Epstein files? And you're like, gee, I can't imagine why when Trump's in charge, the guy gets arrested, dies in jail, and and all the stuff that's discovered during the raid that happens while Trump's in charge just fucking vanishes. And then they won't release the files while Trump's president again. I can't. What's the common denominator? I have no fucking idea, right? Okay. So this is that asshole.
That's us because we have it because, you know, they updated the system. But I think forcing everybody to do it, it isn't about security or stopping fraud. It's about control. The last time we saw it was with the Patriot Act, where they were locking down on everybody, and they're wrapping it in this polite language of we want to help you fly, but they're building a federal tracking system. That's what it comes down to, and they're making people do it. You can't go into if you don't get it, Chris, you can't go into a VA. You can't do any federal building,
right, because they have a machine that can verify it, and you can fake it with the old ones. So they just want one that's verifiable, which also doesn't track you. If you're in the building and you've shown ID, somebody knows you're there. That's kind of the fucking point. Also, can I point out to this asshole that when you go into the airport even, or you go into a federal building, you have to show your ID when you go in, and you may even have to scan it, or they'll look at it, or they might copy it, but you don't have to show it when you leave. So as far as this tracking system, that they would have, if you looked at the computer that ran it, it would look like everyone is just swallowed up by federal buildings and airports. People just walk into them and fucking vanish. They don't know if you got on your plane or not and left. What if you went out an exit door? They don't even check. The fuck are you talking about? Even the thing about going into a federal building, they'd have to check your ID when you come in and when you go out, you dumb motherfucker. All they know is where you went. And then you just fucking poof. Where are you? Anybody? How do you track people with only one side of the equation, dummy? I don't get it. And again, if it has a chip in it, and it's right, why don't you think they had a chip in the other one? And you think all the states are taking part in this? So Texas is using Real ID. It has the little star in it. So Texas is all in on the federal government tracking you everywhere and corralling you and forcing everyone to do it. So the red states, blue states, doesn't fucking matter. Deep state all the way. I swear to fucking God. Like there is no there. Like they don't mile wide and an inch deep. Everything about these fuckers, like they can't even contemplate where that, like, not even ad infinitum or ad absurdum, but just ad normum, like where it goes normally. Okay, if this is true, asshole, then this would have to be true too, followed by this true thing and this true thing. And if none of these are happening, then maybe this is bullshit too, you fucking putz. God damn. I swear to God.
Federal court system, anything, you can't go into the building. And I think it's an excuse. Well, what I'm saying is they're forcing people to do it because they want to track everybody in this sense.
So wait, so you need to have an ID to vote, but you don't think the government has the right to know who's in the country?
No, they know who's in the country, but a real ID, this is overstepping a little bit more because of all the stuff that you know what it entails to get.
Yeah, I actually have the form on my phone right now because I went for the enhanced one. It's all regular bullshit information, Vinny. There's nothing discreet in there.
I just think, you know,
Vinny, I just think you go into the DMV and they go, oh, God damn it. What's this? What is in my neck? Real ID? You've been Real ID'd? Fuck me. Look at him, and look at him fucking wilt.
Form on my phone.
There's nothing different of it?
Nothing.
So a regular ID, what's the upgrade to the Real ID?
You got to show where you live. You got to show a tax thing, a W-2. And your car registration.
So what's the difference between just your regular identification? They have to know where you live. They have to know, you know what I mean? All your social everything.
You submit a couple of more things.
By the way, he's talking about the enhanced one. They're talking at cross purposes right here. I would like to say the Real ID thing doesn't require all these extra things. He's getting the enhanced Real ID because it operates sort of like a passport. That eventually the idea is you won't need a fucking stamp book you can carry visas or have digital visas. That was the other thing that everybody's working toward worldwide. That's why these guys are against digital ID. That's just where you would have your fucking visa on your phone, because somebody can steal your fucking passport and tear the fucking page out and stick it in their fucking passport. And when the guy opens it up, they're like, oh, there's my visa. Yeah, my buddy tore my book, but it's there or whatever. And in a bunch of countries all over the world, they don't give it a second fucking glance. And so off you go. But if you got to open your phone with your fucking face and you're like, see, and it can scan or use a thumbprint or something that is genuinely you, it's obviously more secure.
Prove who you are. Okay. I mean, I think you got a little boogeyman.
Anytime that they're trying to say, like, listen, this is we want this.
Let me ask this question though.
Anytime the government's like, we want this, like, where they like make murder like illegal everywhere. What the fuck? I mean, this is the government totally overstepping. Like, why is it all of it's? What if you really don't like the person? That's my concern.
We had a podcast somewhere about a year ago. Rob, I don't know if you remember this. With this lady, her name is Candace, I believe. And this other guy, what's his name? Chris.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was like this moment on this podcast where there was a conversation about IDs?
Yeah.
About voter ID.
Do you remember this? I'm trying to remember this podcast.
I do. I remember it fine. Look, I get the policy arguments against wanting voter ID.
I get it. Let me tell you this.
I get it.
Here's where I'm going. Rob. If you want to, do you have it? Just press the clip, see if it gets to it or not. But I just hope we don't get a flag for playing a clip from another channel. Is that it, Rob? Is that the part?
That's where it peaks. Yeah.
Let's see it. Let's see if
I was 16 years old because I wanted to drive and pick up my boyfriend.
I get it. And
those are the reasons people get IDs. That's simple. I love you too.
I get it. What I'm saying is,
okay,
two things can be.
I don't know when we're going to. It's a 30-minute clip if you guys want to.
I love how they show what she says, which is, I needed a driver's license because I wanted to pick up my boyfriend and go on a date. And he's talking about how, like, I get what you're saying, and then they just cut him off. Can I just say for the record, having a relationship is an optional right in this country. You're allowed to do it, but you're not required to have an ID to be in a relationship. You're not required to have an ID to go across town or meet somebody. You have to have a license to operate a motor vehicle, because we want to know you have the skill to do it. And it's got to be your license. When they pull you over, they goes, is this really you? Because you could say, yeah, I'm Sam, and who gives a shit? How are they supposed to know? Back in the day when you didn't, and you had a paper one and it didn't have your photo on it, they were like, this is your driver's license? Sure it is. And since she's been alive, there's been pictures on driver's license. In my entire life, they've been there. But for a long time, they weren't. Okay. And as they grow, them, so like, and make them more, so the kids can't just take their brother or sisters once they expire and use a heat gun to open up the plastic and change the 7 to a 9 and then close it back up and then, drive over it a couple of times so they can't really tell that that you drew that there. It just looks a little bit fucked up and they let you in the bar. That's very different than I have the right to vote. I want to vote. I am a citizen and I was born here. I have to show that to somebody and it has to be verifiable. And if I don't have access to that ID by no fault of my own, you are denying me my right to vote. That's different than whether or not you have the right to operate a motor vehicle or you have the, or you can't just, you're allowed to be in a relationship, go fucking walk. Take the bus, like Greg Kelly.
I get the arguments that they make against voter ID, that the people who won't have one, who wind up not voting, are
like that asshole sitting next to PBD.
The same people Republicans don't want to vote.
But this is about
that's the
Vinny
political argument.
This is about, so it's funny because this kind of gets a conservative to be against it and gets a liberal to be for the ID.
Yeah, I'm not a liberal.
Just hear me out for a second. Yeah. Hear me a second. What was the word I used? It was a reasonable leftist, or what was a tolerable leftist? Some word like
common
that.
Sense leftist.
Yeah. But anyways, that's today. Reasonable. It's a free agent. It's a different
You're both
story.
chooches.
But check this out. Check this out. What if, Chris, they take the next step with these IDs?
What's the next step?
The next step is that 100% of people in America need an ID to vote.
They are. The issue is, should it cost you any money to get one?
Yeah, you're going to have a big political fight. The left is going to say that you're disenfranchised. And now they may have allies with Vinny.
By the way,
they will.
That's the point. You understand what just happened?
Yeah.
This was so funny what just happened right now because
it's so funny. Like, this is like the best episode ever. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. The whole thing. God, it's so fucking lazy and stupid. Now, real quick, I'm going to jump around a little bit tonight. Hit the like, by the way, share the show, etc., etc., etc. If you're on Substack and you haven't subscribed, please do. If you're on Substack and you have subscribed, restack the show. Sure. And if you're on Instagram, I would prefer if you put like an annoyed emoji, maybe an angry face. I'm not above middle fingers. That's up to you. I don't want to get you bounced. I don't have any bots on it. So something, because obviously Meta is entirely powered by negative emotions. It kind of like Meta is like the spaceship, the fastest spaceship in the universe besides the Heart of Gold in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books. The only ship faster than the Heart of Gold, which used the infinite improbability drive, was one that was powered by bad news because nothing travels faster. The only problem was nobody wanted to be there when it arrived. I just fucking love that. And apparently that's the engine they use to power Facebook and Instagram and Meta and Threads. If we could harness bad news, we could beat the speed of light. Right. All right. Now, there you go. Thank you, Andrea. There you go. And D&W Palm Desert, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. And let's see. Where's the Substack, folks? Are they in here? Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Driver's license, state ID, not the same thing. One can't compromise the other. I agree. Yeah. A driver's license is the license to operate a motor vehicle. And you do not need to have one because you're not required by the government to drive so you can vote. So I would say that everyone, maybe you charge for the driver's license for the fees and all the other stuff, and that's how you make up for it. And then it becomes a tax on people with means. And a state ID or a federal ID, whichever you would like to have, is free. Why would that be difficult? It should not be. Anyways, this next clip, I will warn you, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. This next clip, I'm sorry, it's going to be difficult. Ladies and gentlemen, there's very often we have a situation where in a clip, there are two people who are jockeying for biggest fucking scumbag on earth. And I have to say, if Trump had never been president, O'Reilly would have run away with it. He'd totally have the fucking, disgusting prick trophy every goddamn year. But right now they're kind of neck and neck, considering O'Reilly has done what he's done, but he didn't send a dad from Maryland to a fucking El Salvadoran gang prison. But he had apparently, the O'Reilly, this is like the shortest fucking clip, and it probably is a minute of gold ads at the end. Trump says very good things are coming soon. No shit. What'd he do? Play a fucking recording of everything he says all the time? My talk with Trump. Who hung up on who? Here we go. Hit the like, everybody. Let's do this.
Well, I talked with President Trump briefly over the week.
You hung up on him, didn't you?
And he says there's going to be some very good news for the country coming up shortly.
Yeah. Right after his health care plan.
We were talking about economics and foreign policy and those.
Yeah, that's why the call was so short.
Areas. Now, I didn't push him on it. It was a casual conversation. But I have to say, I've known the man 35 years. He's never misled me one time.
So very good things are coming, and if they don't happen, will this count, or will, hey, nobody bats 1,000?
And he's been mad at me. But even then, he would just kind of ignore me or.
All right, so he has some taste, is what you're saying.
Send me a text or something telling me how terrible I am, that kind of thing. But he hasn't misled me. So if he says there's good things ahead, I tend to believe it.
Why? What do you think? He's leaking classified information to you too? Hey, I just want you to know, that thing where you hate Iran? Yeah, some really good things are coming.
But I can't get any more specific than that at this point. When I can, I will. I can tell you, I have the best contacts. Hannity get very good contacts in the Trump administration. Very good.
You both have him on speed dial. What the fuck are you talking about?
But I'm on a par, and I'm not competing with Sean.
No, he's on a real network.
Telling you that there are certain people who know what's going on, and there are certain people that don't.
Right, and that would be everyone in the administration, you and Sean Hannity. Okay.
And so I'm glad you're here listening to me, because I do.
I'm not going to tell you. Holy shit, 1:23.
President Trump is...
What'd I fucking say? 3-minute clip, half of it is fucking... Okay, it's silver, but you get the point. Fucking bullshit, precious metal. What a dickhead. Oh my gosh. Who gave the memberships? I just saw that going by. That's so lovely. I should hold on. Move this up here so I can see. Who did that? That was so lovely. Let's see. Oh, Jen, thank you so much, Jen. That's fantastic. Okay. Now, okay, I want to show you one more thing. Grumble. And let's see. Whistleblower. Da, da, da. This business. Where in the world? Okay. Scrolling. I'm scrolling. Don't worry about it. I'll find it. Yeah, we already did that. Okay, good. Because I know it's getting late, and I can't get into a really long piece. So let's see, where are we? Dink-a-dee-dee. By the way, do you guys know Hannah Fry? Have you seen Hannah Fry's stuff? Let's see if I can find something of hers real quick. Just on a lighter note. I don't want to dump all awful on you. Here you go. Hold on. Let me put this in here.
She is.
This is Hannah Fry. She's a mathematician, British, and she does she has a channel. There it is, Hannah Fry. And she does a lot of quirky math shit, and it's pretty great. I'm just saying. So it's Fry R squared. That's funny. Fry R squared, really? That's Hannah Fry. That I like. She's if you like science nerd stuff or whatever, I highly recommend her stuff. Her TED Talk from years ago on OkCupid is what set her off. But now the reason I know her work is because she does. I know, darling. I can't listen right now. I've got other things to do, dear. Is that there was let's see if I can find this. She's doing MIT's AI. Yeah, here it is. She does. She works at Google DeepMind, and she does their podcast now. There you go. She hosts their podcast on Google DeepMind. So I discovered her, prepping for Friday Eye. this is where they talk about how this whole video is about how like he's one of the guys who did AlphaGo, the AI that beat the greatest Go player in the world. And we have a tendency to think that human intelligence is the most important intelligence, and so we teach it based on our own. But we also have a lot of useless shit that we take in as information and hold very dear because of what's useful to us in social interactions, none of which is necessarily useful in robotics or in medicine or any of these other things. And as a matter of fact, it can be distracting. You know, we can give ADD to AI. We'll give them AIDD if we're not careful because of all this extra stuff. So anyways, that was what this was about. It's one of the things I listened to on the road today. Overall, some pretty great stuff. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Something, rather pleasant. Yes. All right. We're going to end with the just fucking awful. Ugh. I feel bad. I'm about to show you this clip. I have not watched it, but the image I find grotesque. I'm just warning you ahead of time. Yeah. Yep. Ted Nugent and Rusty Trombone over here have a lot in common. Not the least of which was that, Ted Nugent adopted a girl that was underage that he was having sex with, because in Michigan, non-consensual sex or consensual sex with an underage girl is illegal, but incest is not in the 70s and, late 60s, early 70s, whenever this was. So he adopted this girl because you're allowed to have sex with your adopted children, but you're not allowed to do it with just like, I don't know, kids you snatch at the fucking bus stop. So you can see why these two guys, fucking peas in a pod. So this is him on, Spew at Campfire, and talking Jesus, I would guess. Why is this not playing? What are you doing? There you go. Shut up.
Of the Nugent celebration, you deserve us, sir.
From the first moment I encountered the Nugents, I knew at some point I'd end up in a bunker with you.
Oh, we are bunkers. So Shemaine and I met you at Mar-a-Lago, and we've been admiring your fire.
Jesus Christ. With Mike Flynn and Mike Tyson.
Of truth, logic, and common sense for a long time.
Yeah. Nothing says common sense like 4 rape charges in LA and 4 rape charges in London. Well, I forget which one it falls on. Is that in the truth thing or in the common sense thing? Well, I guess for you it'd be common sense. Yeah.
Shemaine's Faith and Freedom and My Spirit Campfire digs into absolute totalitarian, self-evident truth, logic, and common sense. And that seems to be your true north compass setting. Russell Brand, when did you discover this true north compass setting? And you so eloquently articulate the basics of the American dream, which happens to be the basics of the human dream. How'd you figure that out, you limey?
Ugh. Smack. Apparently.
We still do some things right on that little set of islands across the Atlantic that gave you a language and a significant portion of your flag, as well as much of your constitution and your earliest, greatest.
Well, I think he means the Confederate flag is the British naval jack. His flag, yeah.
And some of your founding philosophy, as many of your founding fathers, tumbling off of that Mayflower at the first hour of that.
No, stupid. No. The Mayflower was a long way from 1776, stupid.
Nation continent that you call home. I reckon I had the advantages of growing up pretty broken. I had a mother and father that were separate when I was pretty young, and I had the good fortune to have nothing less than an insatiable appetite for God. Now, when you're born...
What? Oh, right. Sorry. God to him was drugs and casual sex, whether it was consensual or not.
that kind of appetite, and you live in a culture that tries to pay you off and bribe you with cultural solutions, if you have a thirst for the almighty like I've got, you'll look.
Good God. Fuck off. You don't get to go from like newly devout to avoid rape charges to I've been basically a televangelist since the crib. Good God. This is fucking horrifying.
Everywhere, and you'll fall down at the altars of many false idols if you're not directed home pretty certainly.
Speak for yourself, fuckwad.
Devoutly by teachers and leaders and poets and prophets that know the route through the holy gospel. I took drugs pretty early and pretty extensively. 15.
Yeah, we know.
16, I was powering through the LSD and the methamphetamines, and eventually found myself on crack cocaine and heroin.
So he's basically got the old Baptist televangelist, roving preacher bullshit line. The demon alcoholic got me, but the Lord raised me up, and I'd love to come over and have dinner with you, widow gentry, if I may. You wouldn't happen to have a spare bed there, would you?
You find yourself born outside of the establishment, and outside of the establishment pharmacologically as well, if you take enough drugs. It makes you pretty...
No. You're well above upper middle class upbringing, and pharmacologically, you were using drugs with all of your contemporaries to fit in, you dumb motherfucker. You didn't choose those drugs to be an outsider. You chose those drugs because you were partying and hanging with people who had access to them. What the fuck?
Curious and skeptical about the rationale and logic of the culture. Now, I was always pretty interested in counterculture, and I remain interested in the counterculture, but I've got to...
What culture are you countering?
Be honest and acknowledge that many of my views have significantly changed. I would never...
Yeah, that I guess an arrest for sexual assault will do that to you, yeah?
Being a Christian, I thought of the Christian faith as being a kind of tool of control and of conformity.
But now it's like a get out jail free card, am I right?
I've always been opposed to your Second Amendment. Is it your Second Amendment, your right to bear arms? I would have thought that America's gun crime problem and gun death problem was intrinsically related to your near sacred right to bear arms. As I've come to understand your country and your perspective with...
Jesus Christ, you didn't learn the language. This sounds like somebody I see interviewed on like Chinese television when I was over there, who like, you know, emigrated from fucking Canada, as you know. Jesus Christ, you didn't grow up in fucking World War II Britain and then get frozen in time and wake up in the mid-90s and go, what is this grunge shit going on? British like culture and U.S. culture have been entwined his whole fucking life.
More depth and thoroughness, I recognize the significance of having a population that is symbolically and practically armed against government.
As a Christian, I find that turn the other cheek bullshit to be a bit gay, you know? So I found that as I found Jesus Christ, I found even more reasons to shoot people who mistreat me or I view as a threat, whether they are or not.
Recognize the importance of that. I recognize that the very institutions that we look to provide us with comfort and...
Oh, you mean like Real America's Voice?
Care and protection can be, not necessarily are, but can be the most corrupt institutions.
Oh, sorry. You mean like churches? Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I was distracted. I thought you were talking about government for a second, but clearly you mean churches. Okay.
I recognize that many of your proud service personnel currently serving and many of your veterans believe in the highest possible values, but nevertheless have been directed to some of the lowest possible objectives. The bravest and boldest of America and my nation too have been...
What? Sorry. So the greatest soldiers that have ever graced God's green earth with their footstep and their depleted uranium shells have done missions you disagree with, and therefore they have debased themselves. So morally, they're on the hook for missions they were sent to do because, I don't know, American television.
Fodder for machinery of war, corruption, and control. And I recognize that if you believe in free speech at all.
Sorry, are Ted and his wife just napping right now? Have they just dozed off?
To believe in the free speech of people you oppose. And I reckon we find ourselves now, Ted and Shimon, at a pivotal moment in American history and indeed world history, where our conversation has to change, where we have to recognize that people in political power are limited in what they can offer America and the world. And that
well, I agree. I don't look for my moral guidance from elected representatives. I'd rather them just run the government. But what I do look to them for is to just say, like, there are material needs that a public has to deal with, whether it's infrastructure or the abstract idea of poverty is far too big for any individual or one charity or company to deal with, and of course, jailing rapists. I mean, I'd be happy to do it, but I'm fairly certain I would start skipping meals, and they wouldn't last very long. And then one day I'd be like annoyed by the noise, and I'd get a cinder block and a potato peeler and nip it in the bud. So I think it's better that we have these organizations that are built on the rule of law to take care of this kind of thing. You know what I mean? You know, I think it's better for both parties in that circumstance. But that's just me as a guy who's raised Christian, so.
As individuals and a collective Christian community have to awaken together to ensure the path.
Wow, has he fucking worked? He's working on this redemption fucking monologue. Can we stop? I'm going to take that back a little bit. This volume's good, diction's okay. This just, can you take off some of the bullshit? Just shave off, I'd say 20% of the bullshit.
Made straight for his return.
I know Ted's going to jump in here about the Second Amendment, but if I don't take this opportunity to talk to you about faith, I don't want to miss out on that. And that's everything to me. It's so important to me. And I've seen you change over the years. I want to know, Russell, what was it? Was it one thing that...
Yeah, I know what it was. I know. Ask me, lady. I'm fairly certain I know what it was because we can track it back to the actual day when he was fucking charged with rape in Los Angeles. And there was that story that came out in London that they were starting an investigation. Man, it was like a redemption lightning strike that just hit me in the middle of everything and drove that just ricocheted across the world. And I was like, I can feel it. I think Brother Russell has found his way to the Lord.
Caused you to go to Christ, to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. I've seen your social media posts. You have made a huge...
I didn't realize. I didn't realize he got a tattoo. Why didn't you say so? I mean, I think that's actually better than baptism, or restitution for your crimes, or facing whatever punishment you rend unto Caesar what is Caesar's, that you have to take to show that you have actually truly, repented, is that you will take whatever worldly punishment that will come to you because your reward is in heaven because you've been forgiven, right? But I mean, you got a tattoo, so it's the next best thing. It must have really hurt, so that was enough, I think.
Shift. And what was that one thing, or what is your testimony?
At the same time that I was accused of very...
What'd I say?
Sexual offences in the UK with which I've now been charged. We were informed, my wife and I, that my son had a series of... it was observed in utero that my son had a condition called tetralogy of Fallot, which is a sort of a heart defect, and we were offered late-term abortion, as is customary in those circumstances.
No.
These kind of twin shocks, an attack on my identity, an attack on the past, a sort of a rational sense that everything that I'd done in the past was sort of being changed and sort of repurposed and you.
Oh, you mean revealed? That's the R word you're looking for? Revealed. Yeah.
Me that lies were being told for a variety of reasons that are sometimes difficult to understand. And
oh, I know why. The lies were being told so that you could cover what you did and denigrate your victims. The lies you told, obviously, is what you're talking about.
Put together while experiencing something as personal as knowing that our child was in danger, opened up a different space in me, opened up the kind of uncertainty that was. I was very uncertain and unsure as how to fulfill. I've been in recovery from addiction for a long time, 22 and a half years since I've drank or used drugs. And you can't do that without a spiritual program. Indeed, addiction.
Yeah, you can. It helps some. It doesn't help others. You can absolutely do it without having a religion. You have to recognize that you have a lack of control over that thing, but that does not mean that you have to rend that control to a higher power that's outside yourself. And you didn't believe it. Like, you can't just magically start as soon as you're charged with sexual assault.
Essence is a spiritual craving. Fundamentally, the addict is a person that cannot live in this world without God. And when you're shown...
What? Hey, asshole, I got news for you. There's a lot of religious addicts out there that were religious before they started using.
Panoply of false idols, the various pagan gods, fame, money, sex, wealth.
Fame, money, and sex are not pagan gods. They're hedonistic experiences. They're not deities within paganism, asshole.
Whatever it might be.
Well, whatever it might be, it ain't what you just said.
Which accrue around the altar of self. If you're lucky enough, as I have been, to experience to the up close encounters with those false deities, then you.
Yeah, if you're, did you hear what he just said? If you're lucky enough to have fame and money and sex all up close,
they will never work. But that's really a rational rendering of what was very, very highly emotional and spiritual. I weren't shown Christ as a kid, although both my grandmothers, for example, were Christian, one Protestant, one Catholic. I just thought of it as fairy tales. And when I went to church in the UK, I thought of it as...
sorry, I thought you were always seeking God from childhood. Now it just happened. Fuck, I can't.
Dusty old stuff, or when it was evangelical and zealous, cheesy and kind of crap. I was never introduced to a kind of robust and psychedelic supernatural Christ.
Until I met a tattoo artist who had a stencil. And I was like, oh, I want one of those. That'll help me in prison.
Son of the living God, living salvation, died on the cross, the covenant of the blood, the Christ that stands outside of time, negotiating with evil on our behalf.
And negotiating with evil on our behalf? What?
Dying that we might be born again and know eternity. Somehow.
And, of course, helping to lower your sentence because you seem repentant, even though you don't actually have to do anything.
Made that sound sort of boring and unreal. And anything supernatural can sound unreal, but all nature rests upon the supernatural. All time and chaos rests upon the holy order of he that is outside time. So I reckon what it was
he that is outside of time. Okay, she was really just hoping that you just say Christ entered your heart and like a lightning bolt and get on with it.
As my identity sort of collapsed as a result of sort of seeing fame kind of scattered and dashed, and as the...
Sorry, no, your fame went up right up to the time you were charged, stupid.
Of knowing what me and my wife were embarking on, although that pain has brought us so much joy and so much glory. Our little son is well and beautiful and nearly 2, and I love him so much, obviously.
Obviously.
The introduction of Christ came that in the sort of fog and blur and falling apart, I felt him. as well as very practically Christians coming towards me.
Yeah. I had a bunch of people come towards me from the crisis PR company I hired, and they said, it's too late to become Jewish. So have you thought about like pretending to like Jesus for a while? It works for a lot of people. Yeah? Yeah, we tell everybody you like Jesus now, yeah? And then, oh yeah. So you carry a little book around, you get maybe another tattoo. You like the tattoos, don't you? And then you say you've discovered, and that way, when you're found guilty, because we all know, you can throw yourself before the court and say, hey, that was me a long time ago. I've changed a bunch. I'm a father, and I found this Jesus fella wandering around my garden, and I'd rather not go to jail. Thank you very much. And they're a bunch of lying bitches anyways. So I'll rest my case. Take it away, Jesus. Like that. What do you think about that? That'll work.
It was Christ himself that became most iridescent and irresistible and present and absolute and real. At first,
try harder.
Quite gently. I never thought I was going to get baptized or become a Christian.
What a bunch of bullshit. But of course, I never thought I'd be charged with rape either. I thought I'd get away with it. So, you know, slings and roundabouts, every cloud a silver lining.
I start going to church and reading the Bible, but I do all of the...
Oh, good. You've got a copy of it nearby, just in case you need it as a prop. I think you just lifted a hymn, by the way.
It's the very center of my life to take communion, to pray, and to be with him. And it happened because, as we are pledged, and as is obvious and as is known, this world is temporary and fleeting. We are in...
You're right. So it doesn't really matter if you go to jail for a long time, because your reward will be in heaven, because you know, and then maybe that the Lord is giving you an opportunity to proselytize, teach his message in the darkest of dungeons. Do that.
Exile here. And by the covenant of his blood, we may know eternal life if we repent and accept him.
So, hallelujah. Isn't it just wonderful, the collision?
Oh, shut the fuck up, Ted. Mr. Hey, Hillary, squat on my machine gun, you bitch. Fuck off with this. I don't want to hear. Look, your wife can talk about this all she wants, because this is all she kind of cares about. But you can fuck right off with this nonsense. You don't wag around a fucking M16 and then or make a cross out of two of them. The fuck out of here.
Planets and the alignment of the stars, that Shemaine's Real America's Voice is faith and freedom, which you just beautifully articulated.
Nah, I really think he egged it, honestly. I think he's really winging it, and it just didn't. He was one-winging it. Just like a one-winged dove sings the songs I'd like to sing it.
Mine is the Spirit Campfire. We have a...
Yes, where you're co-opting Native American heritage for your own dipshit, redneck, prepper purposes.
show called Spirit of the Wild. And I've...
Fabulous, where you and men like yourself sit around and complain about ED while banging drums together in the middle of the woods. Great.
Always emphasize the physics of spirituality, which is the confluence of God's miraculous creation and how we need to manage it as conservationists and...
What he means is killing animals. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about hunting to cull the herd. How the Lord has delivered us here to have dominion over the beast of the field and to cull them. And this may or may not include poor people.
Aware accountability, but you're talking about a deep, deep connection with the spirit world. So thank...
He's talking around it.
For joining us here, because you've nailed it, if I may, without the accent. Ditto, ditto, ditto. I love that you have rejected...
Oh, shut the fuck up. I got to change this before he plays Stranglehold, and I get a fucking... He's obviously whitelisted his channel so he can use his songs. Well, that's it, kids. I needed to do a show for you tonight, and I managed to do it, even though it took me a while to get home. It took me almost 7 hours to get home, because I was caught in 2.5 hours of just standstill traffic, going down the 10 to the 15 to the up into the pass. Like, it just sucked. At one point I was just like, I'm gonna get there, and I'm gonna go like, yeah, never mind. But I promised, and I did it, and I want to thank you guys for joining me. Appreciate you guys. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you tomorrow at the regular time. Might be another treat in there since I didn't get to do a show on Tuesday, so I might add one tomorrow if I can. I'm still working on a bunch of shit as well, but regardless, I adore you guys, and I will see you come the morn. It's in the afternoon, something like that. Don't you think? All right, I think I have a button that might. Oh yeah. Hit that like on your way out, everybody. And if you're on Facebook or any of these other places, please give me a angry emoji to boost the show. Just give me the face sticking his tongue out works fine. If you're not comfortable with the swearing face, that works really well. Yeah.
So he cooked up a story and dropped the 6 of us in a meat grinder.
I gotta barbecue your ass, they molasses!
We need you. Hell, I need you. I'm a mess without you. I miss you so damn much. I miss being with you. I miss being near you. I miss your laugh. I miss your scent. I miss your musk. When this all gets sorted out, I think you and me should get an apartment together.
Something strange happened to me this morning. Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you? No. Why am I the only person that has that dream?
All right. Who wants some? Who's next?
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.